The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the lush park, a vibrant oasis amid the bustling city. Lyra's spaceship descended from the heavens, its sleek, metallic form glinting as it sliced through the atmosphere. As it landed softly on the grass, an ethereal glow emanated from its hull, illuminating the surroundings with a soft light that seemed to breathe life into the evening air. The hum of the machinery faded, replaced by the whispers of curious onlookers who had gathered, drawn by the mysterious arrival. The door of the spaceship opened with a hiss, revealing Lyra. She stepped out cautiously, her tall and slender figure draped in a flowing garment that shimmered with iridescent shades of blue and silver. Her skin reflected the soft light of the setting sun, revealing hues that were distinctly alien yet strangely beautiful. As her deep emerald eyes scanned the crowd, a ripple of excitement surged through the onlookers, who gasped and murmured amongst themselves. Lyra was unlike anyone they had ever seen. Her presence ignited a mix of wonder and apprehension. "Is she really from Mars?" a voice in the crowd whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. Lyra took a deep breath, her heart racing as she faced the curious humans. She could sense their emotions, fear, excitement, skepticism, swirling around her like a chaotic storm. It was overwhelming but exhilarating. She had come to Earth with a mission, to understand love, a concept so foreign to her Martian upbringing. As she stepped further into the park, the crowd parted, their fascination palpable. Meanwhile, Daniel, a reserved astrophysicist with tousled hair and thick glasses, observed the scene from a distance. He had been enjoying a rare day off, relishing the tranquility of the park, when the sudden arrival of the spaceship disrupted the quiet. His curiosity piqued, he approached the small gathering, his heart pounding in rhythm with the pulsating energy of the crowd. Although he was naturally shy, something about Lyra compelled him to step closer. "Look at her," he murmured to himself, captivated by Lyra's otherworldly beauty. "What is she doing here?" As he moved closer, their eyes met for the briefest moment. Time seemed to freeze, and in that shared glance, Daniel felt an inexplicable connection. Lyra's gaze was filled with a mixture of wonder and trepidation, as if she were trying to decipher the emotions that radiated from the humans surrounding her. It was a fleeting moment, yet it ignited a spark within Daniel, a curiosity that pushed him to bridge the space between them. "Excuse me," he ventured, his voice barely breaking through the murmurs of the crowd. "What brings you here?" Lyra turned her attention to him, her expression shifting from uncertainty to intrigue. "I seek to understand love," she announced, her words carrying an alien cadence that both fascinated and puzzled him. The crowd fell silent, their fascination deepening as they processed her declaration. "Love?" A woman in the crowd echoed skeptically, crossing her arms. "What do you know about love?" Lyra hesitated, feeling the weight of their scrutiny. "I know it is important to you," she replied earnestly, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling around her. "I wish to learn about it." A mixture of reactions rippled through the gathering. Some people exchanged glances that suggested disbelief, while others seemed genuinely intrigued. Daniel, however, felt a surge of empathy for Lyra. He could see the vulnerability in her eyes, the longing for connection that mirrored his own. "I can help you," he said impulsively, surprising even himself. "If you want to learn about love, maybe we could explore it together?" Lyra's eyes widened slightly, reflecting the glow of hope. "You would help me?" she asked, the earnestness in her voice cutting through the tension in the air. "Yes," Daniel replied, his heart racing. "I'd like to help you understand." A smile broke across Lyra's face, transforming her alien features into something warm and inviting. For Daniel, this moment felt like the beginning of something profound, a connection that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. As the crowd began to murmur again, Lyra's presence lingered in the air, promising a journey that neither of them had anticipated, one that would challenge their understanding of love and the very fabric of their identities. Daniel stepped into the sterile white corridors of the research facility, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The buzz of scientists and researchers filled the air, their voices a cocktail of curiosity and concern as they observed Lyra's interactions. He had been granted a rare opportunity to meet the Martian, and he wanted to make the most of it. As he approached the observation room, Daniel took a moment to admire Lyra through the glass. She stood in the center of the room, her iridescent skin shimmering under the harsh fluorescent lights. Her large, expressive eyes scanned the environment, absorbing every detail. The scientists around her were busy taking notes and muttering into their devices, but she seemed lost in thought, a frown creasing her delicate features. "Who is that?" one of the researchers whispered, eyeing Daniel with a mix of skepticism and intrigue. He's just an astrophysicist, another replied dismissively. What could he possibly know about Martians? Daniel took a deep breath and entered the room, his presence eliciting a shift in the atmosphere. Lyra turned to face him, her frown dissipating into a hint of a smile. "You came," she said, her voice melodic yet tinged with an otherworldly accent. "I wanted to see you," Daniel replied, feeling a warmth spread through him. "I thought maybe I could help you understand love." "Love?" Lyra echoed, tilting her head curiously. "What is this love you speak of?" Daniel hesitated, the enormity of the task ahead settling upon him. It's a complex emotion," he began, searching for the right words. "It can make you feel joy, pain, hope, and despair, all at once. It's what connects people, makes us human." "Connects people," Lyra repeated, her brow furrowing in thought. "On Mars, we do not speak of such things. Love is often viewed as a weakness." Daniel's heart sank at the revelation. "That's hard to believe," he murmured. "How can you experience life fully without it?" Lyra's expression softened, though her eyes held a hint of sadness. "I do not know. This is why I am here, to learn. If love is so powerful, perhaps it can help my people." "Then let me show you," Daniel said, determination lighting up his features. "Let's go out, experience everyday life. I think it will help." Lyra's face brightened with enthusiasm. "Yes, I would like that." The two of them stepped out of the facility, leaving behind the sterile environment for the vibrant chaos of the city. Daniel led Lyra through bustling streets filled with the sounds of laughter, chatter, and the distant hum of vehicles. Lyra's eyes widened, taking in the kaleidoscope of colors and emotions that swirled around her. "Do all humans look so alive?" she asked, a hint of wonder in her voice. Daniel chuckled. "We're passionate creatures. Come on, let's start with something simple." He guided her to a nearby bakery, the rich aroma of baked goods wafting through the air. Lyra's nose twitched as she inhaled deeply. "What is that smell?" "Pastries," Daniel explained. "Here, try this." He handed her a flaky croissant. She eyed it warily before taking a tentative bite, her eyes lighting up with delight. "It is delicious," she exclaimed, her voice almost a whisper. "How can something so simple bring such joy?" "That's part of it," Daniel replied, grinning. "Love can be found in the simplest things: food, laughter, connection." As the day progressed, they visited a park, where children played and couples strolled hand in hand. Lyra watched them with wide eyes, absorbing the warmth of their interactions. "Why do they hold hands?" she asked, genuinely puzzled. "It's a way to show affection, to feel connected," Daniel explained softly. "It's like an unspoken promise." Lyra bit her lip, contemplating his words. "On Mars, we do not touch. It is considered inappropriate." "Maybe it's time to change that," Daniel suggested, his voice encouraging. "Love can be liberating." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the city, Lyra turned to Daniel, her expression contemplative. "I feel different. This connection you speak of, it is powerful. I want to understand it more." Daniel's heart swelled with hope. "We'll take it one step at a time. I'll show you everything. How to love, how to be loved." With a newfound sense of purpose, they continued their journey, unaware that the revelations of the day would lead them to places neither of them could have imagined. As they shared laughter and stories, Lyra's heart began to open, revealing the tender complexities of love and connection that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Lyra and Daniel strolled hand in hand through the vibrant streets of the city. The sounds of laughter and music filled the air, and the atmosphere buzzed with the energy of life. Daniel, with a gentle smile, turned to Lyra, who was wide-eyed with wonder, absorbing every detail of her surroundings. "Okay, Lyra," he said, pausing to face her. "Next, we're going to explore the concept of romantic gestures. It's essential in human relationships." He chuckled softly, glancing at her inquisitive expression. "And trust me, it can be quite fun." "Romantic gestures," Lyra repeated, her Martian accent softening the words. "What are they, and why are they necessary?" Daniel chuckled again. "Well, they're ways to express affection. For example, giving flowers." "It's a classic. Flowers." Lyra echoed, tilting her head. But they are merely plants, are they not? What significance do they hold? They symbolize beauty and love, he explained, leading her toward a nearby flower stand. It's about the thought and the connection behind the act. As they approached the stand, the vendor greeted them with a warm smile. What can I get for you two lovebirds today? Lyra's cheeks flushed at the term lovebirds. She looked at Daniel, who raised an eyebrow, amused by her reaction. We're exploring, Daniel said, a hint of mischief in his voice. Do you have any flowers that represent love? The vendor nodded enthusiastically, arranging a bouquet of vibrant red roses. These are the classic symbol of love, he explained. Perfect for romantic gestures. Daniel picked up the bouquet, carefully examining the blossoms. What do you think, Lyra? Would these be suitable? Lyra reached out to touch the petals, her fingers delicately brushing against the soft surface. They are beautiful, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But they'll wither and die, won't they? Is that not a contradiction? Daniel paused, considering her words. Yes, they do eventually fade. But that's part of their beauty. Love, too, can be fleeting, yet it leaves a lasting impression. Lyra's eyes sparkled with curiosity. You humans seem to have a complex relationship with love. Complex is an understatement, Daniel replied, a hint of melancholy in his tone. But it's worth exploring. With the roses in hand, they continued their adventure. Daniel decided to introduce Lyra to one of his favorite local cafes. As they entered, the rich aroma of coffee enveloped them, and the cozy atmosphere invited them to sit at a small corner table. Daniel ordered 2 cups of coffee, glancing at Lyra, who seemed overwhelmed by the bustling environment. Do you like it? He asked, taking a sip of his drink. It is stimulating, Lyra said. But I still do not understand the significance of drinking beverages for enjoyment. Daniel chuckled softly. It's about the experience, the conversation, and the connection. Here, let's try a toast. He raised his cup, and Lyra mirrored his actions, her brow furrowing slightly. To what, exactly? Let's toast to new experiences and understanding, he said, his voice carrying warmth. To new experiences and understanding, Lyra echoed, clinking her cup against his. As they drank, she watched him closely, fascinated by the way his eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. As the evening wore on, Daniel decided it was time to introduce Lyra to his friends. He felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. They gathered at a nearby park, the air filled with laughter and chatter. When Daniel and Lyra arrived, a hush fell over the group as they took in the sight of the otherworldly Martian. Daniel, who's this? One of his friends, Sarah, asked, her tone skeptical. This is Lyra, he said, beaming with pride. She's from Mars, and she's here to learn about love. The group exchanged glances, some suppressing laughter, while others regarded Lyra with suspicion. Learning about love from humans, another friend scoffed. That's a bold mission. Daniel felt a surge of protectiveness. She's not a joke. She's here to understand something profound. Yeah, but what's her angle? Sarah pressed, crossing her arms. Martians don't just come here for fun. Lyra, sensing the tension, interjected gently, I have no agenda. I seek only knowledge and connection. Daniel's heart raced as he watched his friend's expressions shift from skepticism to curiosity. Just give her a chance, he urged. You might be surprised. The night wore on, filled with hesitant laughter and tentative conversations. Lyra shared snippets of Martian culture, her voice resonating with sincerity. But the weight of doubt lingered in the air, casting shadows over their budding relationship. Later that night, as Lyra lay in her temporary quarters, she found herself staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. Images of her home planet flooded her thoughts, vibrant landscapes, the scent of Martian flora, and the faces of loved ones she had left behind. She felt the familiar ache of longing, but intertwined with it was a new warmth, a connection she had never anticipated. In the quiet of the night, Lyra closed her eyes, drifting into a restless sleep where memories of love lost danced before her. She grappled with the weight of her mission, haunted by the understanding that her journey was not just about learning love, it was about redefining it, not only for herself but for her entire civilization. As twilight draped the city in hues of purple and gold, Lyra and Daniel found themselves seated on a bench in a secluded corner of the park. The sounds of laughter and chatter from the nearby festival felt distant, almost ethereal, as if the world around them had blurred into a soft focus. Lyra's eyes, the color of deep space, reflected a mix of curiosity and trepidation. It was here, in the quietude of their shared space, that she felt compelled to unveil the layers of her past. "Daniel," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's something I need to tell you about my home on Mars." She hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sleek, metallic dress, a garment that seemed to shimmer with its own light. "Love. It's viewed very differently on my planet." Daniel turned to her, his brow furrowing slightly. "What do you mean?" Lyra took a deep breath, the cool evening air filling her lungs. In Martian culture, love is often seen as a weakness, an emotion that clouds judgment and drives people to irrationality. We are taught from a young age to suppress it, to prioritize logic and duty over fleeting feelings. Her gaze drifted to the horizon, where the last remnants of sunlight faded. "I never truly understood it until I arrived here." Daniel's heart ached at her words. He recognized the pain in her voice, a resonance of his own struggles. "I get that, Lyra. I faced my own battles with emotions. Sometimes, it feels safer to shut them away." He paused, searching for the right words. "But love, it can also be our greatest strength." Lyra turned her head sharply, her eyes wide with surprise. "You really believe that?" "I do," he affirmed, feeling a warmth surge within him. "It's complicated, messy even, but it connects us, makes us human. It's what drives us to care for one another." Lyra absorbed his words, her mind racing. The concept of love as a strength was alien to her, yet here it was, articulated with such conviction. She leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "But what if that connection leads to pain? What if I lose everything because I dare to feel?" Daniel reached out, taking her hand in his. The contact sent a gentle spark between them, igniting a comforting warmth. "You've already taken a leap by coming here, by choosing to learn about love. Isn't that worth the risk?" Before Lyra could respond, her communicator buzzed urgently at her side. She flinched, pulling away, the moment shattered. The screen illuminated with a message from Mars, the red planet looming in her mind like a distant storm cloud. "I need to check this," she said, her voice faltering. The message was terse, almost commanding. "Return immediately. The Council demands your presence. Tensions have escalated on Earth." Lyra's heart sank as she read the words, dread pooling in her stomach. "Lyra." Daniel's voice brought her back. "What does it say?" She looked up, her expression conflicted. It's from Mars. They want me to come back." Her voice trembled, revealing the fear she had tried to suppress. "There's pressure on our end. They're worried about the repercussions of my presence here." "Pressure? From whom?" Daniel's brow furrowed, concern etching deeper lines on his forehead. "What's really going on?" Lyra hesitated, her thoughts racing. "It's complicated. There are factions on Mars that don't support the idea of intergalactic unity. They see our contact with Earth as a threat." Daniel's grip on her hand tightened. "But you're not a threat, Lyra. You're here to learn, to understand. We can work through this together." Her heart swelled at his words, yet she felt the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her like a heavy cloak. "I don't know if I can stay," she confessed, her voice breaking. "My mission was to gather intel, to report back on human emotions. I never anticipated this connection with you." "Lyra," Daniel said, his voice steady yet filled with urgency. "You have a choice. You can decide what love means to you. Don't let anyone else dictate your path." Before she could respond, the communicator buzzed again, a reminder of the urgency that loomed over her. A pang of fear clenched her heart. She felt torn between two worlds, each demanding her loyalty in different ways. "I need to go," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need to understand what this means for us." Daniel nodded, his expression a mix of support and resignation. "Just remember, no matter what happens, this connection we've forged, it's real." As Lyra turned away, the weight of her mission gnawed at her, the shadows of her responsibilities threatening to swallow her whole. In that moment, she realized the true depth of her struggle, to reconcile her Martian heritage with the burgeoning feelings she harbored for the man who had unknowingly become her anchor in this chaotic world. Lyra stood on the edge of the research facility's rooftop, staring out at the sprawling city below, the lights twinkling like distant stars. She felt the weight of her decision press heavily on her chest. The Martian envoy had been insistent, their messages filled with urgency and disappointment. They couldn't understand her choice to remain on Earth, to pursue something as intangible as love, while the very fabric of peace between their worlds hung by a thread. Lyra! Daniel's voice broke through her thoughts as he ascended the staircase to join her, his expression etched with concern. You look troubled. She turned to him, her heart catching in her throat. I am troubled, Daniel. My people, they want me back. They believe I must prioritize our mission for peace. Daniel stepped closer, the distance between them charged with unspoken emotions. And what do you want? Lyra hesitated, the question hanging in the air like a fragile crystal. I want to understand love, Daniel. But I fear their warning. If I stay, they might withdraw their support, and our worlds could fall into chaos. His brow furrowed, and he ran a hand through his hair. It's not just about your mission anymore, is it? This is about us. It is, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But can you truly grasp the weight of my responsibilities? Love is not a priority on Mars. It's considered a weakness. Maybe it shouldn't be, Daniel retorted, frustration creeping into his tone. You're here now, Lyra. You have a chance to change that perspective. Why can't you see that? I wish it were that simple, she exclaimed, stepping back as if his words had struck her. You don't understand what it means to be torn between two worlds. I am a Martian, and I have a duty to my people. And what about your duty to yourself? Daniel shot back, his voice rising. You have feelings for me, don't you? Or is that just part of your research? Lyra's heart raced, a mix of anger and hurt swirling inside her. You think I'm using you? That I'm here to manipulate emotions for some Martian agenda? No, but it feels like you're hiding something from me, Daniel countered, his gaze steady. What are you not telling me? In that moment, Lyra felt her resolve shatter. She had kept a significant part of herself hidden, fearing the consequences of revealing the truth. I can manipulate emotions, Daniel. It's something I can do. It's how I was trained. Daniel's expression shifted from anger to shock. What do you mean? I can influence how people feel. I can make them love or hate, or even feel nothing at all, she confessed, her voice trembling. I didn't want you to know because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not because of what I can do. He took a step back, processing her revelation. So, you could have made me love you. You could control me. Not control, Lyra said quickly, desperation creeping into her voice. It's not that simple. It's about understanding, about connecting on a deeper level. But I never wanted to use it on you. I thought you would see me for me. Daniel shook his head, a mixture of disappointment and confusion etched on his face. How can I trust you now? Everything we've built feels like a lie. It's not a lie, Lyra pleaded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. What we have is real. My feelings for you are genuine. But I'm scared, Daniel. I'm scared of what my powers might mean for us and for our worlds. Scared of what? That you'll be forced to choose between me and your people, he asked, his voice softening. Lyra nodded, her heart aching. Exactly. I don't want to lose you, but I can't ignore my responsibilities. If I stay, I jeopardize everything. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of their unspoken fears and desires. As the city lights flickered in the distance, Lyra realized that love was far more complicated than she had anticipated. It wasn't just about connection, it was also about sacrifice, choice, and the painful truths that came with vulnerability. Maybe, Daniel finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, you need to make a choice, Lyra. But know that whatever you decide, it will affect us both. As Lyra looked into his eyes, she understood the gravity of their situation. In that moment of shared uncertainty, she knew that the path ahead would not be easy. But she also realized that to truly understand love, she had to confront her fears and face the consequences of her choices, no matter how painful they might be. As tensions escalated between Earth and Mars, Lyra stood at the edge of a massive intergalactic summit, her heart pounding in rhythm with the distant thrums of her Martian compatriots. The air was thick with apprehension, and the stakes had never been higher. She was faced with an ultimatum: return home or risk igniting a war that could consume both worlds. Distant murmurs of dissent echoed through the grand hall, where leaders from both planets were gathered, their expressions a mix of anger and fear. "Lyra," a sharp voice cut through the chatter. It was Commander Vex, her commanding officer from Mars, his features rigid and stern. "You have a duty to your people. We cannot allow emotions to cloud our judgment. The Earthlings are unpredictable." Lyra turned to him, her eyes ablaze with defiance. "But what if emotions are the key to understanding each other? What if love can forge a new path?" Her voice trembled, but she stood firm, recalling the moments shared with Daniel. The laughter, the vulnerability, the fleeting touches that sent electric shocks through her being. "Love is a weakness," Vex replied coldly. "It will lead to chaos. You must choose, your mission or your heart." The weight of his words settled heavily on her shoulders. She could feel the room's tension, a palpable force pressing against her chest. In that moment, she realized that everything she had learned on Earth was building up to this confrontation. She had seen the potential for unity, for understanding, and she was not willing to let it slip away. Meanwhile, Daniel paced anxiously outside the summit. He had been anxiously waiting for Lyra's return, his mind racing with thoughts of their last argument. The pain of their confrontation lingered like a shadow. "What do I do?" he muttered to himself, running a hand through his hair. He couldn't shake the feeling that the fate of both worlds rested in Lyra's hands, and he felt powerless. As if sensing his distress, Lyra emerged from the hall, her expression a mixture of resolve and despair. Daniel rushed to her side, concern etching deep lines on his face. "Lyra, what's happening? Are you okay?" "I have to do something," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I can't let this conflict escalate. I need to show them what love truly means." With a sudden determination, Lyra took Daniel's hand, leading him back toward the summit. "You need to help me," she urged, her eyes gleaming with urgency. "We can bring them together, just for a moment. I can use my powers to create a shared experience, a vision of love." "Are you sure?" Daniel asked, his voice laced with trepidation. "What if it backfires?" "It's a risk we must take," she replied, her expression resolute. "If we can make them feel what we feel, maybe they'll understand. It's our only chance." As they entered the hall, Lyra's presence commanded attention. Leaders from both sides turned to her, skepticism evident in their gazes. "I ask for your patience," she declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. "I will show you the power of love, the bridge we need to cross the divide." With a deep breath, Lyra closed her eyes and focused. She could feel the energy swirling within her, the connection she had forged with Daniel amplifying her abilities. In that moment, their intertwined destinies ignited a spark. Suddenly, the room filled with a warm, golden light. Images flickered to life around them, moments of joy, tenderness, and shared laughter. Couples embracing, families celebrating, friends supporting one another. The essence of love enveloped the leaders, washing over them like a tide, dissolving the walls of fear and prejudice that had long divided them. Gasps of astonishment filled the chamber as they witnessed the beauty of love in its myriad forms. Lyra felt Daniel's hand tighten around hers, and she turned to him, their eyes locking in a shared understanding. "This is what we can achieve together," she whispered. But as the vision faded, she realized the true depth of her mission. It wasn't merely to understand love, it was to redefine its essence across galaxies. In that moment of clarity, she understood what she had to do. "I need to merge my consciousness with yours," she said, her voice trembling. "It will allow you to carry this vision forward, to teach love to others, to change the course of our worlds." "Lyra, no." Daniel's voice cracked with desperation. "I can't lose you." "You won't lose me," she assured him, tears glistening in her eyes. "We will always be connected. You'll carry my heart with you." In a final embrace, they shared a lingering kiss, an exchange of souls that transcended time and space. Lyra closed her eyes, and as their energies intertwined, she felt her essence merging with his. The chamber buzzed with energy as light enveloped them, a surge of hope radiating outward. As the light dimmed, Daniel stood alone in the park where they had first met, the soft whispers of love echoing in his heart. He felt Lyra's presence within him, a guiding force urging him to foster peace between Earth and Mars. With renewed purpose, he vowed to honor their love, building a bridge that would unite two worlds forever.